TIFU. By slapping my wife's ass. Last night my wife and I were getting hot and heavy, and began having sex. During sex, I decided to put in a little spanking. This is where things got weird. As I slapped her ass in the heat of the moment, she bursts out with, "Yes daddy, spank me harder." To preface, I knew she had some serious daddy issues. This initially was a turn on, but after a few seconds all I could think of was disciplining my daughter and my face went sour. I stopped immediately and felt awkward. She responded with, "What's wrong daddy, did you not punish me enough?" I walked out of the room and told her I needed a minute. Now I don't think I can ever have sex again. Too long did not read. Slapped my wife's ass, called me daddy. Now I can only think about disciplining my daughter and don't know if I can ever have sex again. Edit. So this my biggest post ever and it's about my wife calling me daddy. Lord help me. Anyways, we talked about it and she was really embarrassed and I told her it just surprised me and I wasn't prepared. We agreed on Sir winking face. Ask her to not call you daddy. Master in BDSM, or something similar. You slapped a whole new personality out of her, damn. Maybe have a talk and substitute the word daddy out for something more palatable. Sounds like you need to have a conversation about it later because she's probably hella confused and potentially thinking she is the problem. Tell her you only respond to El Conquistador. Get back in there and finish. You think her dad just quit? Imagine having sex and trying something new and sexy. You are horny and vulnerable and all. And your partner just up and walks away without a word. Brutal. Today I fucked up by thinking getting constant UTIs was normal. Some backstory. I used to get a lot of UTIs. Like, _a lot, no matter what I did. Boyfriend and I would both shower before sex. I would pee immediately after. I drank water like a camel, took urinary health supplements, everything I could think of. I would still get 8–12 of them a year, a couple of which turned into kidney infections and landed me in the hospital. I was constantly on antibiotics, and at one point I was prescribed an antibiotic to take every time after I had sex. It destroyed my gut bacteria and pH balance down there, and I was miserable and in pain constantly. I was told pretty much the same thing by every doctor I went to. I need to pee after sex, drink more water, etc. I told them I was already doing all of these things, and they said some women just get them more frequently than others for some reason. The last time I ended up in the ER with a kidney infection, the kind doctor told me that in his 45+ years of practicing medicine, he had never seen a healthy young woman have that many UTIs. There is absolutely something wrong, and I need to see a specialist about it ASAP. Fast forward 4 weeks and a referral to a urologist later, my doctor runs a series of tests. One of these tests is a uroscopy which, if you've never had one, is where a very small camera is inserted into your bladder through your urethra and is just about as pleasant as it sounds. It didn't take my doctor long to discover the cause of my constant UTIs. There was a growth, tumor in there. It had formed a pocket which the doctor said was collecting bacteria, contributing to both the frequency and severity of my UTIs being increased. Since there was no way to know if this was a birth defect, a benign growth, or literal cancer without a biopsy, surgery was scheduled immediately to have it removed. The biopsy found that it was not cancerous, which I am infinitely grateful for. Since recovering from surgery, I have not had a single UTI, have gotten off antibiotics, and am able to have a normal sex life with my boyfriend without the fear getting sent to the hospital. My fuck up is that I suffered for years and years instead of getting help, thinking that what I was going through was normal. Too long did not read. My constant UTIs were being caused by a growth inside of my bladder, and I spent years suffering before getting treatment because I was told women getting frequent UTIs was normal. What do you mean, didn't get help? You saw many doctors, all of whom had access to your medical history, was in the ER for kidney infections, prescribed antibiotics, and not until after years of torture did one of them say, "Hey, maybe see a urologist?" This is not your fault. I like posts like these, mostly because it helps others become aware of possibility that they too could have the same thing. I don't know how old you are, but it seems that younger people just aren't taken as seriously as someone would who is older. I know of a couple younger people who had really bad outcomes simply because they weren't old enough to have those problems. Honestly, this seems like a major reminder of the struggles women can have with getting proper diagnostics from doctors. Less of a you fuck up and 100% of them fuck up. Had this happen, Even once went from, "I feel pretty good today for once," to bleeding when I pee within a few hours and landed right in the with one of the worst infections I've ever had. Turns out after many years of hearing, "You shouldn't get these so often," and the same bullshit you were given, I found out I had loads of cysts in my bladder while they were doing surgery for endometriosis. This was apparently contributing to the repeated infections, and no one just cared to listen when I kept saying I was trying to do everything right and it just wouldn't go away. I hope you're feeling better, and you fired your last asshole doctor for not taking it more seriously. You saw lots of different doctors, I'm sure. I've seen it a lot in a few of the people I've dated in the past. Male doctors hear female patients, they write on paper, you take meds and they tell you to deal with it. I dated someone who had a botched corrective surgery and it took a work-covered doctor to realize she needed x-rays and found that the surgery she had was actually causing her so much pain. She spent about a year of doctors writing her pain med prescriptions and telling her she was just after more drugs. Today I fucked up by putting pepper on my tits. Today I fucked up by putting cayenne pepper on my tits. My partner and I enjoy the odd ridiculous joke. I saw a post about spicing up your sex life. Then the punchline was sprinkling paprika on the bed. Well, after a bottle of wine, I thought, why not take it further? I poured cayenne on my breasts, approached my partner at his PC, telling him we needed to spice up our sex life, then presented my spicy breasticles when he asked what I had in mind. Well, I also have seasonal eczema, which I forgot was between my mommy mountains. My house is also a new build, which makes it uncomfortably warm. So the cayenne kinda mixed with my sweat to create a paste. A hellish, poor devastating paste of pure regret and pain. I've showered. I've iced. I've salved. I've cried. Oh God, have I cried. My boobs are on fire. My partner can't stop calling me taco tits. Too long did not read. I put cayenne on my tits to be funny. I have eczema, and now I want to die. Update. You've all made me cackle. After about an hour the burning stopped, but I still smell like a self-serve fajita bar. I'm so close to showering with sour cream or mint yogurt to try to cancel it out. My wife likes hard shell and I like soft. What time are we having titty tacos? Good job taco tits tears of joy. Probably too late, but perhaps the same advice for spicy food in your mouth to soak up the capsaicin? Soaking the milkers in milk? GIF. Giphy, SVHVFHH7CV Uni DXDB, downsized. Is this the visual? The beacons are lit. Gondor calls for aid. Look on the bright side, he could have called you burrito boobs. Today I fucked up by slapping my boyfriend's ass. I met my boyfriend's parents last night. I do have to say it went well. We stayed at their place for the night, and were packing to get ready to go when it all went to hell. My boyfriend was bending down by the door facing away from me to put his shoes on. I said something to him, he replied, and then I went to go put a bag in the car. When I came back in, he was still bending over putting his shoes on. Converse man, entirely too much work. At this point I should also add that we had been working at a sleepaway summer camp for the last week, so it had been a while, and I was feeling a bit frisky. So, as one does, I slapped his butt, not once, but 5-6 times since no one else was around. He suddenly stiffened and stood up, which was a bit odd, and as he did, I realized my boyfriend didn't have graying hair, which was also odd. Then he turns around, and it's not my boyfriend, it's his father. All he had to say was, "Wrong guy." And that was the first time in my life I both cried and laughed, at the same time, without crying from laughter. Too long did not read. Just after meeting my boyfriend's father, and thirsty from a week-long sex drought, my boyfriend was bending over tying his shoelaces. I went to the garage to put stuff in the car, came back in and he was still bent over, so I slapped his ass multiple times to get some of that good. He slowly stands up, says, "Wrong guy." It was his father. If I had a nickel for every time slapping an ass went wrong today, I'd have 2 nickels. And now you have a funny story to tell. Great sense of humor. 5-6 times, are you a machine gun or SMTHG? Oh, that's not so bad. Years ago I was visiting a friend who lived in one of those group houses with people renting out different bedrooms and sharing the kitchen and bathrooms. I usually just slept on the couch in the communal living room. One night one of the girls living downstairs came in all drunk and high and started fondling my junk and pulling my clothes off. Interesting way to wake up. She was very surprised. Turned out she had assumed I was her boyfriend passed out on the sofa. She was messed up enough that she barely acknowledged her mistake and went off to bed. But once she sobered up she got super awkward around me lol. I am so guilty of doing this with my hubby's 3 cousins. His cousins and him all have the same build, same skin complexion, and shaved heads. I have put my arm around their waist and squeezed their backsides on multiple occasions. Of course they all laugh at me because I turn beet red and get so embarrassed. Now when I am with them, I am on guard and make damn sure it's my hubby.